All right, second hour of the show here on a Friday. Chris Brown, Steve Tasker with you, and pleased to welcome in now a former NFL quarterback and guy that does a lot of work for The Athletic, both on the Scoop City podcast with Diana Rossini, and also is doing some film study breakdowns called The Breakdown. What a name for it. It's Chase Daniel joining us, and we've got Chase here because obviously there's a connection with the new offensive coordinator for the Bills, Pete Carmichael, as well as the head coach, Joe Brady. Chase was in those meeting rooms with those two guys down in New Orleans. So, Chase, first, thanks for the time. Second, I want to jump right into this because I want to know what it was like in those quarterback rooms with these two guys. You know, granted, at a very young part of Joe Brady's career, but how did they run those rooms? Was it very much Q&A, or was it, here's a situation, what's your solution to this? How did they what was the process in there?
Well, Joe Brady was like an offensive assistant, so he was a quality control guy. He was running around with his head cut off, trying to do all these busy tasks, but he would jump in quite a bit. And obviously, you know, Pete Carmichael, who's now your OC, he ran the meetings. He was offensive coordinator, and Joe Lombardi was a quarterback coach. But when you have a guy like Drew Brees there, it's really hard to coach him. So I think Drew taught us everything that we knew, and I love the fact that Joe Brady, for me, like, you could always tell, right? In these meetings, he wouldn't say a lot because that's sort of your offensive quality control. You're in there, you're learning. But when he would say some stuff and he would bring up some type of plays that we would run and they'd end up scoring for touchdowns, it was always like, all right, man, this guy has a really, really high ceiling at the NFL level. Now, obviously went to LSU for a couple of years, but then calling plays, and now a head guy. Like, you always knew he had it in him. It was just like, all right, when is finally somebody going to give him a chance to do it? And then to promote from within for the Bills, I just think it's the absolute right move. Like, I think that he knows the inner workings of that organization. Obviously, Josh Allen feels very strongly about him, and as Josh Allen wants, he's going to get. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, this kind of last couple of weeks, you kind of know everybody. You know everybody that anybody's been talking about. Matt Stafford just won the MVP. You were a teammate of his in Detroit back in the day. Joe Brady got promoted to be a head coach here in Buffalo. Pete Carmichael is now in Buffalo as well. You worked with and played for Sean Payton, who the Bills just faced in the playoffs. So you're neck deep in all of these personalities. What's the thing that at this time of year, when you've seen these guys going in and around, what strikes you about how all these guys are intertwined?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's just like that Sean Payton tree, right? Everyone sort of touches that Sean Payton tree, and it's just one of those things, even like Breeze getting into the Hall of Fame, right?
Right.
It's just when you do that type of and have that type of success somewhere, like a New Orleans Saints, right? And then Denver Broncos, it was like New Orleans West. I mean, Sean brought everyone under the sun. Now he sort of cleaned house and moved on from, Lombardi. And then obviously you guys got Jim Leonhard, who I'm a huge fan of, like a big, big fan of. And then Pete Carmichael as well. And the thing about Pete Carmichael that I like the most that's intertwined with Sean Payton is he's going to bring such a calming voice to that quarterback room. And that's such an old school picture. I mean, that seems like 15 years ago that we were on the sideline with Drew. But with Pete, it's such a calming voice. And I think the biggest thing for a first-time head coach, and I think Joe Brady's getting this right, is you have to surround yourself with a staff that's not just a yes man, that might push back on you, that might give you a little bit of hey, let's think about it this way. Obviously, it's going to be Joe Brady's call on everything that he does, but I do like the staff that he's getting. And I think Pete Carmichael brings that to the room and understands what Joe Brady and Josh Allen are trying to do.
All right, so you mentioned Jim Leonhard, so we'll jump on the other side of the ball here for a second. We're familiar with him because he began his playing career here as an undrafted rookie, and then, carves out a 10-year career in the league because he's a smart guy. I mean, he's not a five-star athlete college player, but smart as a whip, man. And he comes from a coaching family on top of that, so, it was almost his destiny to be a coach, if not at just the college level, the pro level as well, and here he is. Why are you such a gigantic fan of his?
Well, I just think he's an up-and-comer, and I think that learning under Vance Joseph in Denver for all these years that he's been there, and he's very well regarded in that Broncos room, and now he's getting a chance to call his own defense. First of all, I just like the scheme. Like, it's very much reminds me of Sean McDermott's scheme. It's very two-eye safety. You guys are running to the football. You don't blitz a lot. If you do, it's on third down. You try to get these guys in third and long, and everything for me, it starts with the pass rush. You have to be able to affect the quarterback in this day and age, or else these corners and these safeties, they can't do their job. And I love the linebacker crew that Buffalo has. I think they're a great crew. I think this is just going to be, you're almost seeing like a youth movement of sorts really around the league. And to get a guy like Jim Leonhard, to get a guy like, to promote Joe Brady within, it's going to be really fascinating to see how they put their spin on this defense. Because I was listening to a bunch of press conferences with Joe Brady, and he's saying, hey, look, I can't wait until Josh Allen throws an interception. So I'm on the defensive side of the football getting excited about it. Now he has to view it in all three phases. I thought that was an extremely interesting quote, and I like that about it because it is true. Like, you don't want Josh Allen to throw an interception, but you got to figure out what's going on with the entire team now, and I think he's ready for that.
Give us an idea, too, of your thoughts. You played with this, with Drew Brees, first ballot guy. You've been teammates with Matt Stafford. You know something about Josh Allen as well. Give us an idea of these guys and how much of an effect and what kind of coaching, when you get to the point of these guys, it's a different animal. You're not walking in with, you know what I mean? You're not walking into a rookie free agent room, right? I mean, these guys are PhDs in the offense, and you got to bring something to the table. How is the dynamic different in those rooms?
Yeah, I mean, look, and you hit it right on. I just think when you have a guy, and Josh Allen is a top 2 or 3 quarterback in the entire league, I mean, MVP type level, when you have a guy like that, your team is going to be good no matter what. Because as the Bills go, Josh Allen will go, and as Josh Allen goes, the Bills will go. And it's so easy to sort of, it's hard to explain, but I've been in a room with rookie quarterbacks, like you were saying, or first or second year quarterbacks, where you're trying to install the offense and you're taking baby steps. You might be football 101 or football 202. With Josh Allen, and especially with Joe Brady there, it's football 505 from the jump in training camp. Yes, you start it all over. You got to build it all up. But I just think that the level of smarts, of ingenuity in the offense, it's at a next level with Josh Allen. And he's been able to handle so much. And I love the way Josh Allen has gone about his career. It was a little struggle at the beginning, then he shot right up. And then everyone, here and there, you'll see some turnovers, you see this. I just like the way, though, that he's played. And he hasn't been, everyone says, hey, Josh Allen puts on that Superman cape. He can put on that Superman cape anytime he wants because he's that good. But he's really, and Joe Brady's got him to play within the offense. Like, hey, don't do too much when too much isn't needed. But if stuff is needed, and you saw it a lot this year where he had to put the team on their back and they had to score a bunch of points. And when you do that, you're going to turn the football over. Like that's going to happen, right? Because you're asked to do so much. What I want to see the Bills do specifically this offseason to get more playmakers around them, the receiver room, build that offense up even more. And I think that's sort of what you've seen go through with Patrick Mahomes, right? They built this offense up, and then all of a sudden they sort of lost some playmakers, and it was just not the same guy. But what separates Josh from any other quarterback, I think, in the NFL is the way he uses his legs. He's able to get outside of the pocket. He's not just a scrambler to run. He scrambles to throw. And when you got a special guy back there leading your entire room, man, the sky's the limit. I mean, it's Super Bowl every single year in what the Bills should be thinking.
All right, this is the thing, too. So you got this guy who's 505 on offense he's a PhD, and he's doing all this stuff at a very high level. How patient does Josh and Joe Brady and Pete Carmichael have to be to get everybody else out of the football 101 classroom into the football 505 classroom, as you said? How patient do you have to be, and how patient does Josh have to be of waiting on somebody? Well, in this case, last year, James Cook maybe did it, but you got to have guys that are at that level, and it seems the Bills are in a perpetual waiting mode for that.
Yeah, and I think that you can't wait on those guys. You have to bring those, and I think that's what's so good about Josh. He brings those guys up. The best quality of any quarterback can you make the players around you better? And Josh Allen has done that to a point. At some point, they're going to have guys in that room that are going to have to raise their level of play. Because so many times this year, I would see just press man-to-man across the board. Shakir would win. Coleman, maybe it's like one and done for Josh. And I think that's the biggest thing is I think they need to get some more guys going around him, specifically down the football field receiver. And I think Keon Coleman can be a guy like that. But at some point, you're right. They're going to have to up their game. Like Josh can't be patient. You can't wait in the NFL. When you have a guy like Josh, you got to get on his level, and you got to get on his level fast. And that comes from, you guys know, training camp, OTAs, preseason, everything like that. And it's such a build to that 17, which will soon to be 18 games of the season. You got to get on that train. You got to get going fast.
All right, so let's play a little bit of a hypothetical game here, Chase, because what we're all talking about kind of comes to the same point of inflection here with Brady now as the head coach. You know, Sean McDermott pushed for balance in the offense, and after Daboll moved on to the Giants, he really impressed upon Ken Dorsey and then Joe Brady, let's have balance in the offense. And this was a team that was pretty much 50-50 run-pass this past year and even the year before. Maybe to some extent people felt there were restrictor plates on Josh Allen and how much he could throw it all over the yard. But part of that, to your point that you just made, might be because of the personnel that was around him. How do you feel this morphs and changes under Brady? Do they get more aggressive and lean more pass, even though people are going heavier formations nowadays, provided they get some of that receiving help you're talking about?
Yeah, look, it's a perfect study on Pete Carmichael's days with the Saints. And you look at what Drew Brees was able to do, obviously throwing the football. They threw it a lot. I was on 5 years on that squad with Drew and Sean and Pete. And obviously we skewed more pass. We probably skewed 65, 35 pass to run. Now, in this day and age, it's different. You have to be able to run the football. You have James Cook. I understand that. But if you go back and you really watch, like they're going to throw the football, and they're going to be in the under center. They're going to be in the play action realm. And if you watch really closely at these Saints films and how it happens, I think it fits Josh Allen's game nicely. I really do. And I do think that in this league, when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen, he's up there. He's MVP. You got to be able to unleash him. You got to be able to let him throw the football down the field. And I do think that you're going to see, I actually love the Bills run game. I love the run scheme. I thought Joe Brady did a heck of a job once Ken Dorsey left to say, we're going to run the football. It takes some pressure off of Josh Allen. But if you go back and really study the state schemes, I don't know, and I might be maybe Marcus Colston. I don't know if many people can name those receivers that Drew Brees had in those 5,000-yard seasons. It's very similar, right, to the level of talent. I would say it's even less than the level of talent of receiver the Buffalo Bills have now. So you're scheming guys open. You're getting stuff going. Brees, I don't know if he had a Pro Bowl receiver, right? And it's very similar situations to what Josh Allen is in now. And I love the receivers that you guys have, but I don't know if they need this bona fide $35 million a year receiver to unlock the offense. I think it's the coaching staff. I think it's schemes. I think that you have to find out each receiver what they do really well and put them in a position to succeed, and that's what this offense does. All
right, let me take that a step further, Chase, because we've seen what James Cook has been able to do as a runner, but when he came out in the draft, he was largely viewed as a third down pass-catching back because that's kind of what he did at Georgia, and it's hard not to draw comparisons to Alvin Kamara. And under Carmichael and Payton, Kamara had 3 straight seasons of 80 receptions or more.
Yeah.
Cook, in the last 2 years, has not had more than 35. Could you foresee an uptick in his involvement in the passing game, especially, to your point, if you don't see an alpha male receiver added to this roster?
There's no doubt about it. I think that this Sean Payton offense and Pete Carmichael, and they want to throw the football to the back. You're going to see a lot of halfback options. You're going to see some rail routes. You're going to see some, hey, if it's not there, check it down. Not only Alvin Kamara, but remember when we had Darren Sproles? I was on the Darren Sproles team. It was halfback choice every other play, and it's a situation. Now, there are different running backs a little bit. I don't know if James Cook has the amount of wiggle as much as Alvin Kamara, but it is a huge deal in that offense. And look, it's like when you come in and you game plan for the week, you might have, you have 3-step, 5-step, 7-step play action, and the 3, 5, 7-step. I mean, you might have 50 plays. 15 of them are designed to go to the running back in the first or second option. So it's a good bit of the offense, right? You don't want to lean on that. But Payton's whole deal and Carmichael's is like, hey, if they're playing the zone coverage and we don't like the look, check it down. Like, check it down. I think Josh does a really good job of that, going through progressions, and we need to get out of the pocket to make plays with his legs. I think he does that, but I absolutely would see an uptick in James Cook's catches for sure.
You've got a new film series coming out called The Breakdown, where you're going to break down some film for people. And what is it that most people miss when they're evaluating quarterbacks?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for promoting it. I appreciate it. We've been doing this YouTube breakdown page for quarterbacks. It did Josh Allen even this year. And I usually pick 4 or 5 quarterbacks a week. It's been going on for 2 years now, just finished my second full year. Now we're going to start diving into a little bit more of quarterback play in college, right? So the college NFL draft stuff. I think the thing that what I try to do in these breakdowns that maybe the average fan doesn't see is like, well, that's open. Why didn't he throw it? And I'm like, well, it probably, and I try to explain the intricacies of an NFL offense. I want you to feel like you are watching film with me in the quarterback room with an offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, backup quarterback, starting quarterback, and you're going over the plays like I would do after a game and explaining the intricacies of it, not just like, oh, that's open. We explain concepts. We explain defensive coverage. It's all on my YouTube page. And so we're launching, it's been going on for a while, but we're launching specifically the quarterback draft prospect. We just did Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson. You guys aren't in you guys don't need quarterback right now. So I don't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
thank goodness.
I do think it's just awesome. I try to teach fans.
Yeah.
Right.
And that can be found, by the way, at patreon.com/Chase Daniel. Chase, I'm really kind of trying to picture Brady in the head coach's seat. And I realized he was there for a year or two and then left to go to LSU and then went on to Carolina and other places. So you didn't really see him per se in a new role with new responsibility. Maybe you've kind of tracked his career having worked with him previously, but what gives you the confidence that when Joe has been handed additional responsibilities in a larger role that has to take care of more, that his thought process, his agenda, his approach is going to lead to success?
Well, I mean, you hit it right on. And without a doubt, if anyone tells you that his plate is not going to get any more full, you're crazy. Because there are so many things that a head coach has to worry about that an offensive play caller does not. And so it'll be really interesting to see how much he delegates. I think that's something that I've been around a lot of new head coaches. I've been with them. And one thing I always hear them say after the first year, and it's these offensive play callers, I wish I would have delegated more. I wish I would have done that, because ultimately, like, you're going to be calling plays, and Pete Carmichael, you bring him in to have it up. But at the end of the day, I mean, I like that he's calling plays, but there's so many other things you have to think about, right? You got to think about the defense. You got to think about special teams. You got to think about strategy during the game. Do we kick it here? Do we go for it? 4th and 2, or we go, or we not? That's just in game, and there's 1,000 other decisions have to be made. What about during the week? You gotta worry about talking to the media every day. You gotta worry about injury reports. You gotta meet with the trainers. You gotta worry about talking to the team and getting a message each and every week and a strategy for. There is so much that goes on to somebody's plate like that. I'm going to be really interested to see, especially early, and follow this through, how he delegates some stuff, because you can't. There's just not enough hours in the day to do everything that a head coach would do and do everything that you did last year as a play caller to get ready to call games. So something has to give, right? Unless you delegate. So I'm going to be really interested to see if he does that.
Good stuff, Chase. Appreciate it. Good luck with the new series, The Breakdown, and thanks for spending some time with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.